Good morning. The next melacha that we come to is the opposite of the one we just concluded. We just finished talking about kosher, about tying a knot on Shabbos. And the next melacha is Matir, the problem of untying a knot on Shabbos. This was found in the Mishkan because they would use a net to trap the chilazon, special type of fish from which they took out the dye to be used for the curtains and the like in the Mishkan. And in order to have that netting, at times they would need to replace netting, which would require untying that netting as well. And therefore, one of the 39 melachas, the next up is the melacha of Matir. Now, essentially what Matir is the opposite of kosher, that any knot which is prohibited to tie on Shabbos is prohibited to untie on Shabbos. And therefore, one typically cannot untie a double knot or unwind a twined rope or the like, because that would be a problem of Matir, just like doing that, tying the double knot or twining the rope would be a problem of kosher. So untying it is therefore a problem of Matir. However, there is one pretty significant difference when we talk about Matir as opposed to kosher. And that is that whereas kosher, there are two elements to make it a biblically prohibited knot: the element of being a maisa uman, a excellent and expert knot, as well as being permanent in nature. Both of those are required to be biblically prohibited. But if only one of those exists, then it is still prohibited by midrabanan, rabbinic in nature. When it comes to matir, there are many situations in where if the knot, making of that knot was only midrabanan, meaning only had one of those two factors, then in situations of need, Chazal allowed us to go ahead and untie that knot. For example, if one has double knotted their shoe, and while it is prohibited midrabanan to tie a double knot of one's shoe, or perhaps even midoraisa, but if it is a knot which is not meant to last for 24 hours, which is typically the case of tying one's shoe, then it is prohibited by rabbinic in nature. If one needs to get their shoe off and they cannot remove one's shoe without untying it and it's causing significant discomfort, then Chazal would allow to untie that knot in such a circumstance. So even though it would be prohibited to tie that double knot, it becomes permitted in a situation of need when it comes to untying the knot. So as a general rule, any knot which is not allowed to be tied on Shabbos cannot be undone on Shabbos either, except in this specific scenario where it is a knot, it only midrabanan, and there is a situation of need or discomfort, then Chazal permitted to untie it in such a case. But again, typically, any knot which is prohibited to tie is prohibited to untie. Have a great Shabbos.